make a little Google movie of a run that I did a few years ago that I think should get popular, but doesn't seem to want to catch on. It's similar to the Pemi loop that has gotten famous. Um, it's harder in that there's less of the old railroad beds. Uh, there's no old railroad bed. There's one short section of the old Jackson Road that's pretty straightforward. But other than that, it's typical White Mountain rough technical single track. So the times should be slower, but the mileage and the vertical gain and loss is very similar to the Pemi Loop. And it goes over sort of the signature range in the White Mountains, the presidential range. I've called it the presidential figure of eight. You can see it on Google Earth here, how it looks like a figure of eight. And I thought I'd just do a little tour of the figure of eight. It starts at Pinkham Notch. There are numerous variations you could do to change the start or shorten it a bit. Each loop can be done independent, and it makes for a good right around 17-mile traverse of the presidentials, where you don't have to spot a car. You don't end up doing the entire presidentials, but that northern loop does a big bulk of them, and is a quite a good tour if you just have one car and don't want to have to do the hitchhike or a car spot. Put together, you end up doing the entire presidential traverse, and so I figured I'd give it a little movie and see what you all thought. So it starts at Pinkham, and one of the easier sections is the initial Tuckerman Ravine Trail, probably the least technical of the trails, this and the finish, which is the old Jackson Road. And then once you get above tree line, past Hermit Lake, and up the head wall, you cross Bigelow Lawn and head towards Lakes of the Clouds Hut. And now you begin your southern traverse, going first over Mount Monroe, and then connecting back up onto the Crawford Path, heading over a little bump of Franklin, and then down, and then short up to the summit of Eisenhower, and then continuing across the southern presidentials. And this is all essentially above tree line until you reach Mount Pierce. And then from Pierce, you enter back into the trees, and you can see the hut, Mizpah Hut, down there, and you enter into the Dry River Wilderness. Here, the trail gets fairly rough, and you head up the Dry River Wilderness up towards Oaks Gulf. This is quite a difficult trail as far as footing is concerned, but not a lot of ups. But once you get to the head wall of Oaks Gulf, rises sharply, and you end up back at Lakes of the Clouds Hut, having completed the first circle. from there, you're going to follow the Crawford Path up to the summit of Mount Washington. And then down from Mount Washington on the Gulf Side Trail, past a little subsidiary summit of Mount Clay, on towards Mount Jefferson. And there's the summit of Jefferson there. At that point, you drop down and head up towards Adams. I don't have the trail going over Adams. That was a mistake. The trail should go right over Adams. You can go around any of these summits. Then up to Madison. And from there, you're following the Appalachian Trail, the Osgood Trail, eventually the Madison Gulf Trail, Osgood Cutoff, Madison Gulf Trail, and then finally, you'll be starting to see, you get across the auto road. It appears that the trail follows the auto road. It actually stays off the auto road and just crosses it. And then back to the start point. Which is Pinkham Notch.